So my name is Medea Benjamin. I'm one of the co-founders of Code Pink, and I want to welcome you all here to this lovely venue of Busboys and Poets. So most of the time when you come here to a Code Pink event, we're talking about wars, right? War in Afghanistan, war in Iraq, the Middle East. Tonight we're talking about another kind of war, which is a war for our environment. And I got back recently from the Gulf Coast. I went down there with my colleague here, Ty Berry, to look for ourselves what was happening. And one of the quite amazing things is how averse they are to people looking around. They really don't like journalists. They really don't like independent investigation. And you might have seen on some of the TV shows how when the anchor people go and put the microphone in their face and say, "Would you like to say something?" to the workers who are working there, like, no. And they are told, and we found this out ourselves, don't talk to anybody. If you want to keep your job, don't talk to anybody. And it felt like a military zone. When we went the first day there, looking around where the headquarters is for the BP cleanup and where Halliburton is, and we were accosted by the private security. And the private security outside the gate on the regular road that all the cars drive up and down on, the private security said, "You can't be here." We said, "What do you mean we can't be here? This is a public road." She said, "You can't be here." And, you know, Code Pink, you just don't leave when somebody says you can't be here. Then you really want to be there. So then we said, "Oh, yeah?" And we started trying to talk to the workers who wouldn't talk. And we started saying, "Well, who are you? Are you Blackwater? Are you Z? You know, what kind of security are you? You're so mean." And they said, "Okay, mean, wait till you see what comes next." And then they called the sheriffs, and they called and the sheriffs come over and they say, the security wants you to leave, and this is BP's area, and if they want you to leave, you have to leave. And we said, you know, public road, we don't have to leave, you know. Well, this went on, they got more police in, and then they called the National Guard came, and then the Coast Guard came. Then we were surrounded by cars and military people and everything. And then they said to us, "This is now a military zone." I said, "Oh, how interesting. We never heard this was a military zone. Do you mean the military is taking charge?" No. VP's in charge, but you know, this is, they just don't want people around, and they have, that's what they said, they have very expensive equipment. Expensive equipment. So we said, all right, well, you know, we don't see any expensive equipment here, and we think we have the right to hang out. We're going over to the marina. And the marina's got a place where you can eat, and we went, we had a drink, and talked to some of the other journalists. And as we're driving out, we take a little turn, all of a sudden we're stopped again and surrounded by police. And they said, "Somebody said that you jumped out of the car and jumped over a fence and took pictures of something very important, and we got to see your camera, and we're going to take away your photos." And we said, "What are you talking about? First of all, we didn't get out of the car, we didn't jump over any fence, we don't see anything important here to take pictures of." Well, we had to stop, we had to give them all our equipment, we had to wait, they went through it, and it was really like a military zone. It was like we were the enemy. We were the terrorists. And then finally we started complaining and calling the Coast Guard and this and that, and they said, "Well, we have a way to do this, and you're just doing it, you know, on your own. You can't just go out and do this on your own. You got to come with us. Come back tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, and we'll take you out on the boats."
Which town was this?
This was in Venice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we went out the next day, and we went with the Reuters crew. There were only 4 of us. They took us on a luxury boat, 60-foot boat that they paid the captain $5,000 to take us out for a couple of hours. But that boat was so big it couldn't get out to the bayou marshland where you could see the oil. So then they had to hire a smaller skiff to then pick us up, and I think they probably paid about $1,000 for that one. And then they took us out into the marshlands. And it was terrible. I mean, it was so sad to see. You know those boom, all the white and orange strings and strings and strings, this boom that you see all on. Well, it's supposed to keep the oil away from the marshland. Of course, the boom that we saw was keeping the oil in the marshland. And then you think of all the technology they have to go thousands and thousands and thousands of feet under the sea. But when you saw the technology they were using to try to get the oil up, Tyke said it looked like something out of the Flintstones. You know, it was an old barrel that was turning, and the barrel was hooked onto a hose, and the hose was hooked onto a little generator, and the generator was hooked onto the boat. And there were like 7 boats around, and maybe 30 workers, and maybe 3 of them were actually doing something. And the captain yelling at everybody that nobody knows what they're doing, and it was just absolute chaos. But the Coast Guard guy that we were with, he is in the reserve. He was called up to come back in because he was in the marketing field. And so they thought, well, somebody in marketing, we need them to work with the journalists. So while all this chaos is going on, and they're working so hard to get a little bitty bit of oil back onto the boat, and we're looking in absolute shock and horror, he says, "It's going real well, don't you think?" Oh, he said, "This is the most chaotic, wild, surreal thing we've ever seen." And he says, "Oh, no, this is very organized." And meanwhile, you hear the captain in the back, "You dumb shits, you don't have the right material, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're not how this is." "Oh, no, this is all well coordinated."
I'm sorry, man, but that's Marine talk. That's just Marine talk. BP is here to protect you. This is just environmentalist bullshit, all right? We're saving the dolphins. See, look, we're cleaning them off daily, okay? This dolphin's dead. All right, well, we do save the turtles. Yeah, see? Now, you environmentalists, you got it all wrong. See, like, if this was an all well, and you could, you kind of hang on to it a little bit, and maybe it'll come straight. That's how it works. Now, BP is here because we're looking for the dollars, okay? And you all people, y'all drive your cars, right? That's where the oil you need our oil. You can't drive a car on a windmill. So, there you go. You guys are what's keeping us alive. And I want to thank you. BP wants to thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Meyer.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll see you at the